You need to throw away your New York Times. It is the most ridiculous, biased, subjective newspaper imaginable. Just take one example. Take the September 12th, 2011 editorial about Israel, where it says that while we blame both sides for stalled efforts on Middle East peace, we blame mostly Netanyahu will thwart any effort to have a peace agreement. They live in a completely upside-down world. You just look at the facts. I know it's an editorial, but it's completely absurd and ridiculous. Netanyahu has begged Abbas to come to the table. He said anything's open to negotiations. All we ask you to do is to say you recognize a Jewish state like I recognize the Palestinian state. Abbas won't do that. He pays honor to terrorists, suicide bombers, doesn't include Israel on any of his maps, talks about ridiculous things like repatriating millions of Arabs who had nothing to do with the land, but trying to get them to go back and take over all of Israel. Won't even recognize the Jewish state. Says that no Jews can live in a Palestinian state where Jews have lived in Judea and Samaria for thousands of years. Continues to make up all these lies about how Jews have no connection to the whole land of Israel. Just read the Bible. New York Times ignores all of that, all of it, and says the onus is on Netanyahu. What more can he do than say, please come to the table? Everything is on the table. We'll talk. All you have to do is stop the violence, recognize there should be a Jewish state, and we can talk about anything. And he won't do it. And the New York Times says, oh, the onus is on Netanyahu, who is thwarting every effort to make peace. That is the biggest crock in the world. And their supposed columnist, Tom Friedman, who wins all these awards, is just as biased and just as ridiculous, saying all these things. So I would cancel my subscription unless you want to read what the enemy has to say, completely biased, in the pocket of the Arab world newspaper like the New York Times. Then I would toss it away because it is completely worthless. Their view of the world is completely upside down and distorted. The world should, and just like the President of the United States is putting all of the pressure on Israel to make all the concessions, when Israel has given up thousands and thousands of square miles like the Sinai to Egypt for peace, and now what does Egypt do? They're doing everything they can to undermine Israel, invading the embassy, threatening the lives of the embassy diplomats, and you can see they'll cancel that peace agreement soon. Just heard of the 105 secular different political parties in Egypt. Every single one of them wants to nullify the 30-year-old peace agreement that Mubarak had with Israel. Israel's surrounded by enemies. They've got to worry about Hezbollah's 60,000 missiles from Iran and their north. They got to worry about Syria and the convulsions there. On their right side, they got to worry about Jordan and the convulsions that are going to be going on there. They got Hamas with the missiles supplied by Iran. You know, got Egypt to worry about, let alone Iran's nuclear arsenal that's going to come online in the near future. And the New York Times only picks on Netanyahu, saying he's the obstacle to peace in the Middle East. This is a complete crock. And anybody who's sensible, understanding at all about the world, would know that. You'd think the New York Times would be sensible and fair. No. Completely biased, completely in the pocket of the Arabs. Worthless. Just completely worthless.